Welcome, everyone, to this workshop and presentation on funding your study abroad. My name is Gregory Beyer. I am the Los Rios faculty representative for the semester study abroad program in fall, going to London, fall of 2024. And I'm very pleased to have a special guest here, Paula Messina, who is the regional director for the American Institute for Foreign Study, study abroad, to talk to us about funding our study abroad programs. As we go through, please don't hesitate to put your any questions you have in the chat. And I'm going to put a message in the chat right now with a link to a Google form. What I'd really like you to do is to fill out that form so we can collect your contact information, and also so that I can share news that comes up with you and invite you to future events related to study abroad. Thank you, and welcome, Paula.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I came to study abroad just like you as a student. My very small college in New York was partnered with AIFS Abroad. And I'm going to date myself right now by telling you that I funded my study abroad. Well, first of all, I chose my college because when I did the visit, they talked a lot about study abroad opportunities. And that was, I think, number one on my priority list. But I'm going to date myself by telling you how I funded my study abroad. I used financial aid. I got a student loan, but I also got a side job, and I delivered newspapers every day for 2 years prior to my study abroad experience. No one delivers newspapers anymore, certainly. So that definitely tells you just how old I am. So we are going to get into the specifics of funding your study abroad. Hopefully you'll find this informative and practical. Before we get into all of that information, though, I did want to highlight that fewer than 10% of U.S. college students study abroad. So having that experience on your transcript for transfer, having it on your resume helps set you apart from 90% of your peers. That's why we think study abroad is a really good investment, right? It can help you get that highly competitive transfer spot that you're trying to achieve. It could help you get into grad school. And even more importantly, later on, it will help you hear you're hired. Statistics tell us that you're twice as likely to hear you're hired with that international experience, that you're more qualified for higher paying jobs. So we think it's a really good investment in your education and in your future. The first part of all of this is getting organized, right? And really figuring out how much you need for your study abroad experience. Would you all mind muting yourself? It just makes it a little easier for everyone. If you have a question, then feel free to unmute. But in the meantime, keep yourself muted. The knowing your finances, right? Knowing how much the study abroad program is going to cost, how much money you'll need for other expenses. So getting organized means starting maybe an Excel sheet, and starting a tab called expenses, and then detailing how much your program fees are and maybe how much is included, and then start to estimate or put in how much you'll need additionally. For example, for airfare, for your passport, if you need a new one or if it needs to be renewed, if you're going to take out extra insurance to cover your program fees, homeschool tuition or additional fees on that. And then typically other things that you'll have to pay for, things like books, texts, your most meals, fun, independent travel, whatever you're thinking of, maybe shopping, souvenirs, things like that. You want to budget for all of that. At the end of the session, then we'll have some documents that we'll be able to share out with you. One is a budgeting doc that I created. You could take all of that and put it onto an Excel, and that might help you get organized. So honestly, I used resources like financial aid and savings and family support to help fund my study abroad. We definitely encourage students to take advantage of all their available resources. Honestly, I've never met a student who's been able to fund their study abroad through one available resource. I guess unless your last name is Gates or Bezos, that's probably not an option. So we highly recommend that you use all the available resources, right? So everything from financial aid, scholarships, savings, asking your network for support, and one-off projects. These are all the resources that are available to you. So we're going to go through all 5 points tonight. First one is financial aid. The big question that we get is, can I use financial aid to pay your program fees? I'd like to say yes across the board, but I'm not a financial aid tech and I'm not your financial aid tech. So I think that is my answer. Fill out your FAFSA, right? Make sure that you have applied for federal financial aid and state financial aid. And then the next thing to do is talk to your financial aid office, right? Once they have your eligibility, then they are able to tell you what kinds of grants or student loans are available to you, and if it indeed can be carried over to your study abroad, right? So make an appointment with them, go in and ask, and they will give you all of the details and specifics that pertain to you. Also ask them about scholarships. Check out their webpage. There are a lot of scholarships that they may run, and there are a lot of information on external scholarships that they're able to share out with you. I did want to highlight that financial aid often includes grants if you're eligible for them. They also might include subsidized or unsubsidized loans. Those student loans come at a lower interest rate than, say, a personal loan from a bank or an external financer. Those are a better option in that case, right? If you decide to take out a loan. So that is the very small bit about financial aid. It is a small bit of information, but a mighty amount of money it can be. So definitely don't pass that up. You may, sometimes I talk to students who think they automatically don't qualify for financial aid. Apply regardless, right? Because you never know. Scholarships, savings, creative fundraising, those will help you complete the funding for your study abroad. And we're going to go into detail about all of those opportunities now. Let's start with scholarships. Definitely apply for every scholarship you can. There are study abroad scholarships for sure. Deadline for a very important study abroad scholarship is coming up soon. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. But don't limit yourself to just study abroad scholarships. Start to look for all kinds of college scholarships. Organize yourself. Open up another tab on that Excel list called scholarships and start to do your research, right? So look on Google, put in qualifiers that might define you. For example, college scholarships for Hispanic students, college scholarships for LGBTQIA, college scholarships for business majors, and start to copy down those links, look through that website, see if you're eligible, copy down the application requirements, and start to apply. Most scholarship applications require some kind of essay, right? Some kind of personal statement. Scholarship committees often want to really get to know the people that are applying, and why they deserve their money. So make sure that you answer the scholarship prompt and make it as personal as possible, right? Weave your story into the questions or the prompts. It's also super helpful to get a few letters of recommendation from college faculty now. Some scholarships require letters of rec, others don't. But we all know that faculty are busy. They have a lot of coursework. They have a lot going on. So start tomorrow morning or even tonight after this is over, requesting a couple of general scholarship letters of recommendation from a couple of faculty. Save them in PDF and have them in your bag in case a scholarship needs it. And then some ideas where to look for scholarship. I mentioned already, um, other ideas might be looking at large corporations, Staples, Ford, Coca-Cola, etc., McDonald's, they offer scholarships for college students. How about where you work, right? Do you work for a large franchise? Where you work, are you unionized? If you work for a small company, would they match a scholarship, right? You never know. You have to investigate, you have to look, and you have to ask. They just might be happy to support you. They might not have thought of it before, but you never know if you ask. Lots of scholarships we call wild card because they don't kind of fit in any category. Scholarships for left-handers, scholarship for ice skaters. I've heard of that. There's all kinds of scholarships out there. Like I mentioned, start your Google search and put in your qualifiers. Lots of local organizations, community-based organizations support students. We have the Rotary, the Kiwanis, the Masons. You want to look at those memberships in your community, in your town, and you want to reach out to them directly, inquire about scholarships that they may offer. Scholarships don't often, the deadlines also don't necessarily coincide directly with our program deadlines. So you may have to pay out your program fees, and then if you win the scholarship, you pay yourself back. That's generally how it happens. Most scholarship awards are awarded directly to the students. We put some links here, and like I said, we'll be sharing these slides with you all. The first one is great for students who are Pell Grant eligible and who are US citizens or nationals. If you meet those two eligibility requirements, then this is the scholarship for you. Apply for the Benjamin Gilman International Scholarship. It is the #1 study abroad scholarship across the nation. 25% of students who apply for it win up to $5,000 for a semester-long program. And as a matter of fact, among community college students, that figure is even higher. I think 40% of the community college students that apply for that scholarship win. So they're pretty good odds, right? The but about all this is that the deadline is coming up really quickly. The deadline for study abroad programs for the summer and fall is March 9th. It's Thursday, the first Thursday in March at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. I believe that's March 9th. My calendar's right next to me. Let me look. So if you meet those requirements, no, it's the 7th. There you go. Sorry, the 7th. March 7th at 11:59 is the Gilman. Do your research, look on that link, and you'll see that the application is a long process. There are 3 essays to write. Not very long essays, but 3 nonetheless, but it could be really worth it. The Fund for Education Abroad, I'm not sure if we have students who are here thinking of studying abroad beyond the fall. The Fund for Education Abroad for fall study abroad is currently closed. It closed in January, but if you're thinking about studying abroad beyond the fall, then that will reopen. Start to look into it now. The rest are links, different eligibility requirements, different deadlines, but it's really, these are places to start and look for scholarships. The first 2 are study abroad scholarships. That Diverse International Women of Color, Tortuga, is also study abroad, but the rest, these are database links, essentially, where if you click on that, you'll find links for even more scholarships, and mostly just scholarships open to college students. So definitely take a look there. And as I mentioned, your financial aid office might have resources. And then your school foundation probably offers scholarships as well. Really apply to as many as you possibly can. Generally, the essay is the sticking point. It's students have schoolwork, they have jobs, another essay that I have to write. I like to encourage students because writing a really good personal statement, right? Telling your story. your past, your present, and your future. Um, it can be a good starter essay for many different scholarships. You can use and reuse it. Um, I worked with a study abroad advisor at Citrus College. We put together a writing a winning scholarship essay guide. It is linked on their study abroad website. You can use this link to get to it. We'll also send it to you all in PDF. The essay guide is meant to help you start to brainstorm about things that you should talk about in any scholarship essay, in any personal statement. As I mentioned, your past will be your background. Your present will be your academics and what you are studying, and then your future is what you're working toward in the future, as far as continue your academics, transfer, graduate school, if that's what you want to do, and then maybe your job in the future. And then whatever the essay prompt is, you want to weave it, as I mentioned before, into your story. So if it is a study abroad scholarship, you want to weave study abroad into your present and your future, right? How this will affect your future. A couple things that you always want to identify in your essay: that you are a community college student. So if the title of your college doesn't have the word community before college, put it in there. If you're the first person in your family to go to college, please mention that you're a first generation college student. If you are differently abled, either physically or have a learning disability, please mention that. Talk about that. If you're an ethnic minority, LGBTQIA, please mention that. I think all community colleges in California are minority or Hispanic serving institutions. You want to mention that as well. Key identifiers, right? They'll get you more points. Compose some general tips. Make sure you compose the essay in Word. I always recommend that students write the personal statement, that they sleep on it, and then the next day they get up, they rewrite it, right? They read it out loud, make changes, edit it, and then after you do that, take it to someone and have them look it over. Read it to a family member, a friend, have them make some suggestions. Then take it to your writing center, take it to an English faculty, have them look it over and make suggestions as well, right? It's important. Flow, format, your essay should have a flow from beginning to end. Don't start the night before, right? You want to start now. Especially if you want to apply for the Gilman on the 7th, you need to start right away. And be careful when using AI chat GPT. People tell me they can absolutely tell, right, when an essay was written by artificial intelligence. And I'm even hearing now that they're coming out with software that will identify work done by AI. It won't help you win, so don't bother. All right, so that was the financial aid and the scholarship bits. Now we're going to go into the other pillars of funding your study abroad. These are the part that we call the creative funding ideas, or getting your hustle on for study abroad. And these are the different ideas that we have. And after we cover all of those, we will go over some real life student examples, just to prove the point. So this is the audience participation part. We have a little poll. We want you to vote in the chat. According to financial guru Susie Orman, you may have heard of her. She's on the news and PBS a lot. She's on NPR. She gives great advice to people on saving for retirement, right? Saving up their money. So according to Susie Orman, what do you think is the fastest way to save up money? Do you think it's A, get a part-time job? Do you think it's B, open a savings account? Do you think it's C, cutting down on your monthly expenses? Or do you think it's D, working more hours at your current job? So go ahead, put what you think in the chat, and your faculty will read out to me what our students are voting.
We have lots and lots of C's, and
Okay.
that was going to be my guess too, because the focus is on, for me, the fastest way to save up money. And so certainly I spend a little bit of money every day. And if I can cut down on those expenses, we have, thank you, Jonathan, for sharing. It depends on the person, though. That's also true.
According to Susie, you're absolutely right. So look at your expenses, right? Open up your bank account, open up your checking account, look at where you're spending your money. Is it absolutely necessary? Are there ways you could cut down on your expenses to save for study abroad? This is what we like to call adopting the monk-like lifestyle. And it's not forever, certainly. It's just for a certain amount of time until you go abroad. But where are you spending your money? Can you make a little lifestyle change so that you're not spending so much? So if you're always going to Dutch Bros, or you're always going to Starbucks or Phil's, can you buy a coffee maker and a travel mug and stop going to the coffee shop so many times? If you're door dashing, or you're eating out, or you're going to Cane's Chicken all the time, how about learn how to cook? Right, and eat some leftovers. It's a good life skill, probably a lot healthier. Actually, it is a lot healthier. How about all of that online shopping that you're doing? And I'm guilty of that one. When I get bored, I love to online shop, and I love to online shop in Instagram. Remove all of your credit cards from those online stores, right? So make it a little harder for you to buy online. Bad habits, certainly stop a really unhealthy habit like drinking coffee or soda or smoking. Put that money towards your study abroad. Open up a travel fund jar and take the dollars and cents and put it in there. How about subscriptions? And that's a big one lately, right? Everyone signs up for the free trial, and then it ends up renewing and charging you, or maybe memberships, annual passes, things like that. Like, can you work out at home versus a gym? And again, it's not forever, right? It's just for a little time so that you have money to travel. All right. Next one, how about asking your networks for support, right? Your networks tend to be all of the people who you know and know you, who would probably most likely be really happy to support you in this academic endeavor. So think about what your networks are, where they are, right? So it could be a current or a former school. It could be a community-based organization that you are a part of or were a part of. How about your religious organization? How about a sports organization that you've been a part of? They may know a part of your life, but they might know about what you're doing now, what you're studying, and what your goals are in the future. Everyone should be aware, right, of that, and that you're going abroad and how they can help support you. Where are they? It's easiest, I think, generally to reach out to all of them via social networks. So make sure that you are where all of your contacts are. If they're older, they're probably still active on Facebook. Get on Facebook. They're active on Instagram. They might be on TikTok. It might be an email campaign. It's probably a combination of all of that, right? Make sure that you tell your story. As I mentioned, you tell them where you go to school, what your major is, your background, and what your future goals are. And then talk about study abroad and why you want to go and how it will impact your future. As a matter of fact, I think those are things that you really should think about, right? It is, because study abroad is not a trip, right? It is an academic endeavor. It is something that will have a huge impact on you personally and professionally. And then also state some study abroad outcomes. At the beginning of the presentation, I did mention that a few of them, right? That you're twice as likely to hear you're hired. It will set you apart from 90% of your peers. Those are studies that many organizations and schools have done, like AIFS. UC Merced on their study abroad website does a great job of listing many of those statistics and citing the studies that they come from. Look, if you literally Google's UC Merced study abroad statistics, check it out and share some of those statistics so that people see just how valuable an experience this will be. Talk about where you're going, right? Do a deep dive into the location where you're going to study abroad, the city, the country, the program itself, right? The academics, the features of the program, and then share that with everyone. And then also include your funding information, right? We'll talk about having some, how having something to fund people so that people can fund you with. We'll talk about that in the next slide, but definitely disclose how the funds will be used and why a donation makes a difference. That is a fundraiser pro tip. And then post and repost. We know those algorithms don't always, reach everyone the first time. So share, reshare, and ask them to share out to their friends as well. So it is recommended, as students have shared with us, that to have some way for people to fund you. So think about maybe opening up a GoFundMe, or there's another one called Fund My Travel, similar to GoFundMe, but very focused on student and community travel. There is some students just prefer sharing out their Venmo, their PayPal, or their Zelle. Um, on those funding sites, you're again similar to Facebook, you'll tell your story, right? Upload images of yourself, talk about your personal, your academic, your goals, your program, write a detailed description of your story. And then a pro tip for fundraisers, explain what the money will be used for. So break it down, right? You need X amount for tuition, X amount for program fees, and then you can estimate how much of that is cultural activities, how much is airfare, how much is housing, and then go into detail about the program. When people start to donate, it's important to keep track, right? So post updates, say thank you, post comments, keep track of who donated, and make sure that you bring them along on your travel, on your journey, right? It's not just take the money and run. It is share this experience with the people who supported you. Send regular updates from abroad. All right. Share this funding campaign across social media sites by email as well. Another pro tip was we had a student who set up giving levels. So she said, if you can donate $20, I'll send you a postcard from abroad. If you can donate $50, I'll bring you a small gift. If you can donate more than that, when I get back, I will visit you and bring you a slideshow and, make you a treat that I learned how to cook when I was abroad. So there are different things that you can do. Use your talents. Think about how you can use your talents and get creative. And then we also wanted to mention that the ethics of all of this, of course, if you start to receive donations and you start to receive financial support, and then for some reason you decide to cancel and not go abroad, you have to return all the money donated. So it is important, again, that you keep track. Other things that you can do, we have students doing one-off projects, right? They are during the pandemic, we were all stuck at home, but we had students who started to plan their study abroad and do fundraisers virtually. So we had students that were crafters and artists that were creating creations and selling them online via Etsy or eBay. We had performers, students who were singers, musicians, spoken word poets, performers, creating virtual performances, uploading it to YouTube and sharing it out on social media, asking for donations. We had students who were teachers, created a master class and charged for it. So we had students who were teaching people how to code. I had another students who taught people how to make dumplings. Whatever you can do, can you create a master class, share it out, and ask for donations as well? How about online auctions or yard sales, right? There are those great websites like eBay, Mercari, and Facebook, Poshmark. Go through your closets, your garages, ask for donations of stuff from neighbors, right? Ask them to clean out their garages and their closets, and then resell. Thrifting and reselling on those sites has also become a thing from what I understand, right? So going to thrift stores, buying stuff that is really resellable online, designer stuff, things like that. There's a profit in that. We had a student who was buying old furniture, painting it, getting very artistic with it, and reselling it on Facebook Marketplace. We also had a student who created a March Madness bracket, and I know that's coming up really soon. There are templates, from what I understand, online, and you can create March Madness brackets, and then you split the pot with whomever wins, right? Lots of in-person things that students are doing as well. Students are doing yard work, so they're advertising online or they're advertising in their neighborhoods. They're going door to door and offering their services. So that is one thing. In the same light, we have students who are animal caregivers, so dog walkers, dog feeders. They're taking care of animals when people go away on vacation, or taking house sitting, things like that. That is another option. We had a student who asked their family and friends to save their recycled cans and bottles to take them to the recycle center to get the return fees. So bringing containers or bags to neighbors and family and friends and asking them not to throw out their bottles, but to save them, and then setting a regular schedule and going, picking them up, bringing them to the recycle center. Students doing bake sales and yard sales. I'll talk about that in the next slides. Babysitting, creating fundraiser nights. So we had students who are inviting their networks to either a spaghetti dinner night, a pancake breakfast, an ice cream social, bingo nights, game night tournaments, and charging a fee, an entrance fee, and then asking for donations during the events. We have students who are hosting concerts and asking for donations, organizing car washes, creating and selling gift baskets. That's a new one that I heard of for holidays, right? Valentine's is over, but Mother's Day is coming up, Father's Day, Easter, that kind of thing. Birthday parties, baby showers. That's a really good one. Holiday gift wrapping services, paint and sips. Those are generally organized by local artists and in the similar light as a Tupperware. And then you invite the guests, they pay the artist, and the artist splits the earnings with the host. Some one-off ideas that students have shared with us, getting some seasonal work, right? So maybe instead of a long-term commitment, part-time job, retail hires a lot in Christmas, but now during the spring season, garden centers tend to hire more. So maybe look for a part-time job at a garden center. How about food delivery, gig work? Right? These are things that you can do when you have free time, right? It's less of a time commitment. So either be an Instacart shopper or a DoorDash or an Uber Eats delivery person. How about those credit cards that accrue points or miles to buy your airfare or get cashback credits? Those are great. I've had students get those credit cards, and then once they got their funds to pay their program fees, they would put it on the credit card, get the cash back or get the points, and then use the funds that they had to pay off the credit card right away. We definitely want to encourage you never to charge more than you can pay off when it comes due, because then will start to incur interest, and that's not what we want you to do. How about setting up a keep the change savings account, right? That is a service that most banks offer. Every time you make a charge on your debit card, your bank will automatically round up a certain percentage and put that money into a savings account. So it forces you to save. And then for birthdays or holidays, asking family to give you gifts of money or travel related gifts versus just stuff that you don't need, maybe. And then we are going to end with a couple examples. We have Angelica, who started a baking business. She created a menu of 5 or 6 items that were popular and easy to bake. So she created the menu on one quarter page on one side, and on the other side, she created her pitch, right? So it was the explanation of herself, of her study abroad program, and her goals, right? Why study abroad in Barcelona was so important to her. She was a graphic design major, and Gaudí was, an influence and a dream of hers, right? To visit Sagrada Familia and all the places in Barcelona. She created this menu, had a really good elevator pitch on, how she was raising funds for her study abroad program. Every day, everywhere she went, she practiced that pitch and took orders for her baking business. She had great support from her family. Her sister helped her do the baking at night when she got the orders, and she was able to do the delivery the next day. In a few months, she raised $1,500 just in her baking. She also shared it on social media and reshared and got some good events that way as well. This was a student who did a radio contest. I know lots of local radio stations all over the country do cash prizes often. This is here in LA. I'm based in LA, and on Kiss FM every day, I think, or every Thursday, Ryan Seacrest is on there, and he does a Ryan Pay My Bill. So this student entered the contest, and then the point of the contest was that you had to wait and hear your name be called and then call back into the radio station. So she knew she wouldn't be able to listen to the radio all day long every day. So she made sure everyone she knew, family and friends and neighbors, were tuned into the radio station, listening for her name. One of her friends heard her name, called her right away, and she was able to call in and claim her prize. And I love this because it's all about her network supporting her, right? They'll support you in all kinds of ways. Your networks want you to win, right? So reach out to them and ask. And then this student did a very entrepreneurial kind of yard sale. Christina went around to family, friends, and neighbors and asked them to, as I mentioned before, clean out their closets, clean out their garages, and donate unwanted stuff. So people donated whatever they could, and she set up this 2-day yard sale, made sure that it was well advertised, well set up. She was ready to go at the crack of dawn. She also was very entrepreneurial because she sold drinks. It was going to be a hot day, so she made horchata, she made jamaica. You could also do a bake sale, right? In the yard sale. And then she had a big poster board with her photos, with her story, right? And how this was all money being raised for her study abroad experience. So she said people weren't haggling, people were paying the full price, and they were even donating their change. So she raised over $1,500 in 2 days. All right, so those are our ideas. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope that you put something into practice. If you do, we would love for you to share it. We love to share good ideas. I think nearly all of these ideas came from students that have worked with us. You can send me your story and a couple photos, email it to me, and I will put it right into the presentation. And we will be sharing all the resources with you as well. All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Paula. Thanks everyone for joining. If you haven't yet done it, I'm going to put the email address, or not the email, the form address in the chat one more time. Please fill out this Google form, and I'm going to take everyone who has attended here and make sure that I send you the recording and also the documents that Paula mentioned. For us in Los Rios, I'll put one more link in the chat, and that is the Los Rios Study Abroad program. Let's see, losrios.edu/ Oh, I know my address, which I know is London. So that's for the London program. But if you go there and you follow the breadcrumbs, you can see a list of all the programs that we have coming up. We're going to 4 different places this summer, and I know that it's Tanzania and Kyoto, also Paris and Florence. That's the summer programs. We'll be in London in the fall, and then in spring of 2025, we will return to Florence for the full semester program with Professor Seaver, who will be teaching math while you're there. And you know what? If I were going, I would be loving figuring out my Pythagorean theorem on the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yes, we will definitely be looking at the Pythagorean theorem and a lot of other interesting mathematics that ties into Florence and to Italy.
Yeah, and thanks, Joseph. You mentioned that the Florence program isn't. We usually put the website. It should be up in early fall. Is when the website will be up.
Right.
Yeah. Those of you that are here, any questions that came up that we didn't get a chance to in the chat? Thanks very much also for being active in that chat. All right. I'm going to stop the recording and I will edit it before I send it out.